Okay, so this time I want to talk about dyslexia. That's what I've been asked to talk about this week. Don't be put off by the puppet. I'm just re-emphasising how good it is to work with puppets. It made sense the minute I was asked to do another video blog, and this time do it on dyslexia. Made total sense because I realised that I've written about this, it's gone up on my blog several times, and that's not necessarily the most useful format for somebody who's dyslexic. So it occurred to me that's actually really quite sensible. So I'm going to start with a bit about how dyslexia affects me, and over the next couple of video blogs I'll look at other aspects, teaching people who are dyslexic, working with people who are dyslexic, and generally how to support people with dyslexia. So I didn't know I was actually dyslexic until just over a year ago. I always thought I was a bit dyslexic, but hadn't had that confirmed, and it was only just over a year ago when I had the, I suppose, confidence, I don't know if confidence is even the word, I was persuaded to go and get an assessment. The thing that put me off for so long was the fear of being found to be stupid. Now, as I was working on my doctorate at the time, that was a bit of an odd thing to say, but it was genuine, and that's really important. It is truly a genuine thing, this fear of being thought of stupid, because you grow up thinking of yourself as stupid if the written word doesn't come naturally to you. So much of what we do is governed by the written word, and even though I had obviously completed masters successfully, I'd got a distinction, I was at the very final stages of a doctorate, I still thought of myself as stupid. That was my go-to. Anyway, not stupid as it happens, turned out I had very high IQ. There were areas of immense difficulty. Now I will talk about them in more detail, but what's been particularly interesting this last week or so, well, the last 2 months to be totally honest, is I've been working on some Hebrew. And I've been asked before whether it's only in English that the dyslexia sort of manifests itself, and the answer is no. And I've found that to be pretty categoric. What I've noticed by doing the Hebrew is where my difficulties with reading the written word actually are. The first thing is I've been doing some reading and translating from Torah, and that is Hebrew without vowels and no punctuation. So it's quite tough stuff. But in order to do it, I had to learn the vocabulary. And what's really interesting is, as my understanding of the vocabulary for the passage I was translating improved, so did my accuracy of reading it. And that ties in with my own diagnosis of dyslexia, in that one of the reasons I can read is because I have a good vocabulary, and my understanding of words helps me to read them because I have an idea of what it's saying. The thing that struck me was how often, sometimes the words literally, the letters seem to sort of switch place, which is a bit of Erlin's, I get that. But other times, although I see them in the correct order, I see the letters in the right way, when I go to articulate them, the sounds come out in the incorrect way, or I find I'm very hesitant. I can't get the right sound to come out in the right order, if that makes sense. And that is obviously a processing issue. It's something to do with the way the written word goes from the way it's processed through the eyes and sort of processed and comes out through the articulation. And that's been an area I've been struggling with a lot, even words I'm very familiar with. And that explains things like malapropisms that happen in English, where I would say things like park instead of car park, which I have to think really carefully about to get the words out in the right order. It's the same thing in Hebrew, that certain letters, and they're not always necessarily letters that look the same. It's not like the BD confusion, which happens. There is a lot of that with me in both Hebrew and in English. But there's also this business where the sound just, the sounds come out in the wrong order, and that's a processing issue. it does, as I say, improve with meaning and understanding. So as you get older and there's more meaning to what you're reading, the reading in some ways gets easier, whichever language it's in. However, as you go further up academia, people who use fairly inaccessible language make that harder to be accessed. That document is harder for a dyslexic to access. So when doing my doctorate, there were certain articles, certain books that I would start reading, and within 2 or 3 pages I would just put them down, because I wasn't going to get the information out of it, because the decoding itself was such a big issue that I wasn't going to be able to glean any meaning. Whereas others that were written in much more accessible language, I found much easier to understand and gain ideas from in order to support my research. So it is something which happens in more than one language. I'll talk about more of this in the next one. Thank you.